Opinions and stories around the game we love, told by your favorite storytellers. Stay up to date with all things cricket. Subscribe to Crickbuzz's YouTube channel and press that bell icon now.
Okay, well, there's two teams who could be happier, and their personnel would tell us that they'd be kind of better placed than they are right now. These are the two teams that are playing tomorrow. Paulie, you think safe to say that they would have thought they'd be better than 7 and 8 on the points table halfway through?
Well, I tell you what, you tell me that Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai would be your bottom four sides at this stage of the
And you
tournament.
throw a stone at us, thinking
I would have said you've got your table upside down. That would have been the
Oh, you only say drinking too many martinis.
You've got your table upside down.
But that has been the big surprise. But when they play each other now, it's do or die in many ways. They really can't afford too many more losses if they want to get to the business end of the tournament. So it's normally a very important encounter when the two play. It's going to be important again because they're falling well behind.
Let's have a look at the Delhi squad. And the one question is, Paulie, how much are they missing your boy Andrik Nokia?
Yeah, I think they are. The Fizz, I don't think he's settled in this Delhi squad as much as he could have. He was brilliant for SRH, but hasn't quite looked the part. And we saw what Express Pace can do tonight. So I'm sure they would love to have him available. I don't think they're going to go that route.
And if not, then Ngidi in place of the Fizz?
Yeah, it's another guy I feel for. I mean, Lungi basically sat and watched the whole season for Chennai Super Kings last year. I think he played one game and now he's on the sideline setting. The unfortunate thing for him, just the nature of the beast, is that he thrives on the more he bowls. So when you're in the nets and you're just bowling your practice spells, to get into the middle and be expected to perform on that one occasion. And that's the problem when you sit out for so long. Often you only get one opportunity. Okay, well, let's see. You've been around for a while. Here you go. Okay, well, it was average. We'll go back to the other guy. So it's a bit of a poison chalice on the side, and I'm sure he'll be chomping. But I think from what we saw over the last two seasons for Delhi, I think Andrik Nokia, at his pomp and performing like he can, I think that is being missed.
I mean, half the season gone.
What has to be said, what has to be said though, is from the time he did play, there is the evidence once again, like we were talking about with Williamson, of not enough cricket. You can just tell. And Andrik Nokia, who we watched, where was it, in Dubai, running along, or Rabada at the other end, just absolutely sending them down 150, 152, 153, was a guy whose action was honed, who was fit, who was strong, who didn't have to think about a great deal. And so everything just came out as should. But now, and as would happen, I guess, if you haven't had a whole lot of bowling and you've also been injured, number one, the psychological issue of the fact that you've had some sort of injury, and then rather than kind of feel it come out, you try and force it, and it doesn't necessarily go how you want, because normally works when it's done easiest, if I can put it that way, when it just kind of flows through and the action's going quite nicely and he's got rhythm. It's unfortunate that injuries happen and you've got to kind of get back on the horse pretty quickly. But yeah, they'll be searching, he'll be searching, and I think they'll try and get him back on the park. If he's back fit again, and they said that he was, they'll try and get him back on the park. When Gidi would be quite good, I think as well, is that he's a power play guy. In my mind, when he's been most effective is when he takes wickets up at the front and sort of is utilized more towards the front than at the back end. That's kind of how you'd look at him. So if you have a Fizz in, and I know it's about a balance of a side, but if you have a Mustafizur in, you want to kind of think, okay, Mustafizur towards the back, middle and back, and Ngidi front and middle. But then, balancing those four is not so simple then.
Yeah, no balance for Calcutta as well. They've lost 4 in a row now. And well, in the 7 games that they've played, it's not looking good for them in terms of, or the 8 games, sorry, that they've played. Polly, they've gone through 5 opening combinations already. So, yeah, extremely unsettled, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think they got the decision to bring Saudi back. I think that was a good call. He did obviously answer the call, 3 for 20 odd in place of Pat Cummins. But yeah, it is a strange one, and sometimes you wonder how teams get to these situations. But I mean, if you had to say, what's the stock standard formula to teams winning the RPL? And invariably, it's a settled top 3 that perform. It's not rocket science. I think if you go through every winning team from the 14 years before, you'll find that there was a settled top 3 or 4. And all those, in general, 3 of them were performing. So when they chop and change, you do wonder sometimes. It's like it's roles that you want to play, and you start to feel comfortable what you're trying to do as a player. As much as you've got, as we talked about, you talk about Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Williamson, unable to sort of get things going. It's the same thing when you fiddle with people's roles at the top of the order.
Yeah.
That's Venkatesh Iyer. I mean, what did he do wrong last year? He was the success that got them into the playoffs last year and almost got them over the line was 7 or 8 performances from him at the top of the order. That was the key to their performance. So, yeah, I don't know what the thinking is, but I'm a bit surprised by it.
Yeah, and now, Bobby, they've suddenly got him as finisher in a team that didn't really have the problem of finishers.
Yeah, and why do they need help with finishing?
Yeah.
Why do they need him to try and help at the back end to finish games? I don't think they do. I'll throw in sort of Sunil Narain and say he's happy enough down the bottom there to do whatever job you need. But before you even get to him, if you have a Shreyas Iyer who walks in at number 4, you're fine with that, So why not Venkatesh Iyer up at the top? And that's kind of how it's worked. So why not? And like Polly said, I don't know why. You want your players to be in the positions where they can perform optimally. All your players. So when you think of Venkatesh Iyer, whoever you are, right? You're not going to slot him at number 5 or 6 in a 2020 side. It doesn't matter what color he's wearing. If you want him to succeed, and it doesn't matter who's playing in that side, if you want Venkatesh Iyer to succeed, you bat him number 1. And that's so why aren't they? I don't know.
Yeah.